This is the third and final video on building a mid-century modern style bed frame. This video will cover building the side tables, which feature a hole you can run your cords through, and are made from a continuous piece of plywood so all the grains line up. For Cutlists, dimensions, and more information, please visit my website. These side tables are 8 inches high, 15 inches deep, and 15 inches wide. We start each table with a piece 46 3/8 by 15 inches. I go ahead and apply solid wood edging to the entire piece. When the glue is cured, I use a crosscut sled to trim up the solid wood edging. I use a laminate trimmer on a jig to make sure that solid wood edging is not sitting proud. And then I give it a quick sand with 150 grit on an orbital sander. Crosscut the piece as shown here so we can match the grains up later. To cut a clean hole for the cord relief, I used a throat plate from my router table. And I used a flush trim router bit from the top side to clean it up. To apply the walnut veneered tape, I first use a heat gun to soften the glue, and I apply pressure using a pipe. Set your table saw up for a 45-degree miter, and we're going to miter every side. Then I cut a 1/4 inch by a 1/2 inch deep rabbet along the back for the back panel. Line up all your pieces. And tape all the joints. Carefully flip the piece over. And brush a lot of glue in all the miter joints. Carefully fold up the entire assembly. And tape the final seam. Remove all the tape once it has time to cure. And measure up the back panel to be cut from a 1/4 inch plywood. Pre-drill for the side table mounting holes. And fasten the back panel with staples. Sand the entire assembly with 150 grit sandpaper. Use the table saw to rip the door down to the proper height, and the crosscut sled to rip it down to the proper length. I cut thinner 1/4 inch strips to edge the doors. Using a stop block, I batch off a bunch of lengths of solid wood, and I use a miter saw to cut the piece for the handle. To start shaping the handle, I use a 1/4 inch roundover bit on 2 edges. And I use a table saw to slice out an overhang in the handle. The handle will sit in a rabbet centered on the drawer front. A bandsaw to cut out a portion of the handle as shown here. After gluing on the 1/4 inch solid wood edging, I trim it off with the table saw. And I'm ready to trim any proud solid wood edging and give everything a nice sanding with 150 grit sandpaper. I use a track saw to cut out the sides and the bottoms for the drawers. Since the bottom is also made out of 3/4 inch plywood, I run a rabbet along all edges. I use a common dado and rabbet joint to line up the sides of the drawers. Before you assemble the drawers, make sure you sand the inside, as it is much easier to do it now. After placing glue in the rabbets, you're ready for assembly. The bottom drawer slides along wheels that I cut from 1/4-inch acrylic. I pre-drill 4 holes on the bottom drawer to mount the door later on. The drawers for the side tables are much the same except for the bottom is made out of 1/4-inch. I also ran a dado along the side to provide space for the drawer slides. Please check out part 1 of the series on how I do my finishing. After finishing, you can mount your drawer slides. To line up the door fronts, I pre-drill some holes. I drive a screw in from the back, leaving it about an 1/8 inch proud, which will act as a center punch when I align the door. Slide the drawer in place. Center the door in the opening. And give it a tap with a dead blow hammer. Using the marks created from the screws, pre-drill the holes, be sure not to go all the way through. Then you can go ahead and screw on the door fronts. Place the side tables squarely on the headboard and mark the mounting holes. Drill the holes and press a T-nut in from behind the headboard. Hang the headboard and do the final mount of the side table. I mounted a hard plastic cap along the bottom drawers to help them slide in their runners. And I slid the drawers into place. I used clamps and a spacer along the bottom to hold the door fronts while I screwed them in place. And did the same with the other drawer. And that wraps up this project. So thank you for checking it out. Please subscribe to see more videos like this.